Good evening. My name is Robin Brendick, and tonight we will be diving deep to explore the domains of instructional technology. Each domain, although separate, is an important part of the whole, and they are all interrelated. Tonight we will also be hearing from correspondents Tiffany Waller, Nikki Lyons, Emily Stanslov, and Nicole Hebel. To begin, we will be starting off with Emily Stanslov on the domain of design. She will be exploring instructional design's foundations in traditional bodies of knowledge and its relationship between the other domains.
All right, let's talk to you tonight about the domain of design and what that entails. Design can be defined as purpose, planning, or intention that exists or is thought to exist behind an action, fact, or material object. An important part of the process of design is producing a specification, and that will lead to how you're going to plan out how your students will learn. This will also entail creating measurable objectives, planning instructional strategies, and providing the proper resource needs for the classroom. It's important to look at design and think about all the different tiers and levels of design. One of the questions we'd like to ask when we are working on design is, what is the focus of the learning? What do you hope for your students to gain at the end of the day or the unit or semester, and how can that be achieved? You also need to look at how your learners will be grouped, and in doing that, you're able to determine if you're going to have a group of students that each has their own learning style and learning characteristics. When you do this, you'll end up having a more diverse group of learners, and that's important if you want your students to be exposed to all different types of learning. It's important to look at design in its entirety and decide what kind of results you want to have. You need to look at your plan of action and see from start to finish if it's going to coincide with what your original goal and objectives are for your classroom. A huge part of design is having organization. You are going to be the catalyst for how the rest of the domains are going to be played out. You set up how the entire process is going to work. You've been given the development, but that is supposed to give you some insight and get you thinking about how you want the rest of the process to come out. If you're not organized, the entire rest of the set of domains is going to be thrown off. Another part of design that cannot be forgotten is the fact that you need to conduct analysis of the appropriateness of the content. You need to make sure that what you're teaching is geared toward the age group that you're working with. You cannot throw up.
Thank you, Emily, for your insight on the design domain. Once the design specifications have been identified, they must be transformed into a physical product, which leads us to development. More on that with Nikki Lyons.
Thank you, Robin. I'm going to begin here in the Instructional Resources and Technology Services Lab in Schindler Education Center. Development is the process of translating design specifications into a physical form. The general governing principles are derived from the nature of communication in addition to the process of learning. The domain can be described by the message, which is content-driven, the instructional strategy, which is theory-driven, and the physical manifestation of the technology, the hardware, software, and instructional materials.
My name is Farah Kashif. My current job title is Faculty Technology Integration Specialist. And I've been in this field for 8 months, but I used to be an instructional developer for a couple of years before this job.
Hi, I'm Lori Sewell, and I am an instructional designer technology coordinator at UNI. I have been here for 15 years. Prior to that time, I was in K-12 education. I worked as a technology coordinator for the Independence Community School District for 2.5 years.
The domain's products can be divided into 4 categories: print technologies, audiovisual technologies, computer-based technologies, and integrated technologies.
This domain follows the design domain, and this is where things become real in a tangible form.
I asked Lori to explain some of the basic steps of designing instructional materials.
Well, the first step is really to understand the need of whoever it is that you're creating the materials for. So you want to study your audience, talk with anybody that you're working with from an organization who may be the ones that are actually addressing the audience if you're designing or developing for them. So understanding the audience is key. And then looking at the various options, various types of programs and products that can be used or developed, and decide which one is the best match for the needs.
A developer can't create materials without proper planning. Addie can help organize the production process.
I follow the ADDIE model closely. ADDIE stands for Analysis, Design, Development, Implementation, and Evaluation. As a developer, I found myself creating a lot of instructional materials as prints, which usually comes with a lot of images, as instructional videos, and a lot of meetings that could be either face-to-face or online.
Because this domain combines design, production, and delivery functions, a material can be designed using one type of technology, produced using another, and utilized using a third. Over the years, changes in media capabilities have led to changes in the domain. Print technologies are the most fundamental product of this domain. Developers create text and static visuals to communicate information. This information is presented sequentially and is often readily accessible to learners. Audiovisual technologies facilitate teaching and learning primarily through sight and hearing. Materials are produced or delivered by using mechanical or electronic machines. Audiovisuals make it possible to display large visuals, playback sounds, and project films onto screens. Computer-based technologies are ways to produce or deliver materials using microprocessor-based resources. These technologies differ from print and audiovisual technologies because the information is stored electronically in the form of digital data. Games, simulations, and databases help learners make connections with content. Integrated technologies are ways to produce and deliver materials that incorporate several forms of media under the control of a computer. Learners construct knowledge as the relevant lesson is used. This is why a primary feature of this technology is a high degree of learner interactivity among various information sources. In order to develop integrated media, the developer must incorporate all of the combined principles of graphic design, audio and video production, computer-based authoring principles, and the basic principles of instructional design. Development does not function independently of the other domains. It's guided by design and theory. It must be attentive to the needs of formative evaluation and the utilization process, and it must meet the needs of management. Well, that is all from the Technology Methods Lab here in Schindler Education Center. Back to you in the studio, Robin.
Wow, that was great, Nikki. Once products have been developed, the key is to effectively integrate the materials into instruction. Next, Nicole Hebel will explore the integration process through the domain of utilization.
Thank you, Robin. You are right. It is key to effectively integrate materials into instruction, and the domain of utilization provides us with a framework to do just that. Let me tell you more about this domain. The domain of utilization is sometimes considered to be the oldest domain within instructional technology. Utilization refers to using processes and resources for learning. In other words, utilization is how individuals use instructional materials to learn. The goal of the utilization process of instructional technology is to facilitate the implementation, acceptance, and adoption of instruction. To ensure effective use, the utilization domain includes 4 subdomains, including media utilization, diffusion of innovations, implementation, institutionalization, and policies and regulations. To understand the utilization process, it is important to understand each subdomain and how they work together. The subdomain of media utilization refers to when you are deciding how the instructional media will be used. It is the actual use of the different resources or media that instructional designers have systematically selected to ensure that learning occurs during instruction. The next subdomain is diffusion of innovations. This is the communication process used to spread information and involve users in order to facilitate the adoption of an idea. Information is spread to create awareness, with the ultimate goal being to bring about change. The third subdomain of utilization is implementation and institutionalization. This phase occurs once a product has been adopted. Implementation refers to the installation phase of the instructional design process. This is when you are using instructional materials or strategies in real learning settings. Institutionalization refers to the continued use of an innovation within an organization. The fourth and final subdomain in the domain of utilization is policies and regulations. This refers to regulations, copyright laws, and ethics. These are the rules and actions of society that affect the diffusion and use of instructional technology. To learn more about this domain in action, I have a couple of testimonial statements from current UNI professors who are constantly working with this domain. Let's listen and hear what they have to say about utilization.
As a teacher, my part is utilizing technology, bringing them to classroom. And as you know, it's a bigger process. So after initial planning and designing, implementation it's a fun part. It's a part you can see what works, what didn't work, and make constant tweaking. And it's never just one. It's never done deal. It's constant evaluation and revising. So. Do I use how often I use this domain? I use it often, all the time, but I never use it in a separation from other domains, from other parts. There's a constant revision and redesign and bringing new, because when you're teacher or when you're instructional designer, that's a big part. That's just constant learning, constant changing. The biggest part in utilizing new technology, bringing new technology to school is finding people who like to use it. The faculty bias or student bias. Do they see usefulness of it? And we have many models that we can use to see if the process of utilization works. So you have to constantly ask yourself, okay, am I using it? Am I implementing new technology just because it's fun, but just because it looks good, just because I have an opportunity, or is it for certain purposeness? If you're starting implementing new technology, utilizing new technology in your school or in your classroom, start from small steps, ask for feedback, ask for help, collaborate, be enthusiastic about, be ready for change, for flexibility, and keep learning.
The domain of utilization is basically just a process of, after you've done your planning and your designing and developing and all that sort of thing, then you have to see where the rubber meets the road and you have to do stuff with it. So I do stuff with it every day. And so in the domain of utilization, I'm very active. I think that the toughest part about utilizing is to do it. And you put everything together, and then it's a matter of applying it, and then you need to assess it to see how good it is, and then go back and see how you can modify it and make it better and better. It's really simple. If you have a certain unit that you teach every year or every semester, it's really simple to simply keep teaching the same one. At the end of it, you say, well, let's see, I need to make this change. And if you don't make the change the next time, you're going to make the same mistakes. So it's the idea of doing it and then working in a reiterative process to try to make it better. If you're going to be implementing something new into your school district, there's a number of aspects you have to think about. You have to think about it technologically, you have to think about it curricularly, and you have to think about it politically. And from a technology aspect, you have to make sure that what happens is that the people who are involved in maybe in a one-to-one situation are comfortable with the idea of making this an integral part of their classroom. And when we talk about it from a curricular standpoint, how does this fit into the way in which they're learning? And more importantly, how does it fit into the way teachers view teaching? And then politically, that's a very important aspect, because you need to make sure people are involved in the process of developing it, rather than just having it imposed upon them, because if it's imposed upon them, then you'll get revolution and people just not doing it. So the idea is it has to be a win-win situation, or else it probably isn't going to be used.
The utilization domain is important because it is the interface between the learner and the instructional material or system. This domain explains the reasons for having instructional materials and innovations. And that is all you need to know about the domain of utilization. This has been Nicole Hebel reporting. Now back to Robin.
Thank you, Nicole. Nicole really emphasized how important the utilization process is, but it wouldn't be effective without efficient management. Hello, this is Robin Bredvik, and I now am reporting from out in the field. Today I'm going to be talking about the domain of management. Management has been around since the beginning, and that's because all resources need to be managed to be successful. Management is broken up into 4 subdomains: project management, resource management, delivery systems management, and information management. The underlying management skills remain consistent no matter which domain you are in. These skills include organizing programs, supervising personnel, planning and administrating budget and facilities, and implementing change. Project management involves planning, monitoring, and controlling instructional design and development projects. In this class, Instructional Technology, Multimedia Planning and Production, I was the project manager for our final project. Through this, I learned I needed to be organized and have good communication with my team. That is one of the strengths I really thought I developed throughout this project. Resource management involves planning, monitoring, and controlling resource, support systems, and services. More on that with Maxine.
My name is Maxine Davis, and I'm the Director of Instructional Resources and Technology Services here in the College of Education. First, I'll start kind of talking about some of the different resources that we manage. I think of when you say resources in terms of informational technology, we have printed material, electronic resources, technology, all the different equipment, and along with that goes the, of course, there's financial resources that we're given to do all of this, but also human resources, our staff. I'm not so sure it was the technology that enticed me. It was more so the people. I love the environment that I'm working in. When I think of management team, I think of working with people, and I think the advice is you have to come with an open mind, okay, and knowledge. But as I think about it, if you're going into any type of management, whether it's technology, resources, even education, resource management is going to come into play.
Delivery systems management involves planning, monitoring, and controlling the method by which distribution of instructional materials is organized. More on that with Jeffrey.
My name is Jeff Reese, So the official title is Application Administrator / Learning Management Systems. And what that means is basically I manage or lead the team that runs UNI e-learning system and the related technologies. The biggest thing with working in a management setting with technology is documenting and organization of those documents and the things you do. So we use a lot of collaboration tools, Google Docs. We use that a lot so that the team can be working on the same doc and we document things and plan out our processes and procedures and that kind of stuff. So one of the things with delivery system management I kind of just touched on was things change so much or can. And so being able to do that, prioritize is one of the biggest challenges, because a lot of times, we're working on this project and then something happens or somebody says, oh, this disappeared in my course, and so we kind of have to drop everything and tackle that. But being able to decide what to prioritize and who to put on the certain task and how much time should they spend on that. So that's a fun challenge.
Information management involves planning, monitoring, and controlling the storage, transfer, or processing of information in order to provide resources for learning. More on that with Neil.
My name is Neil Clopton. I am an information technology specialist for the College of Education at UNI. I'm responsible for making sure that the technology needed by everybody else in the College of Education works. Because our staff, the professional staff for the College of Ed is relatively small, each of us needs to know a wider range of technologies than if we were in a larger organization that allowed us to specialize. So both of us have to know Windows, both of us have to know Macintosh, both of us have to know the server platforms that we use. And that means a lot of shifting gears. It's good for people who like to learn. I complain about having to relearn things, but that's also one of the challenges that makes the job interesting and fun if you're a person who enjoys problem solving and enjoys learning.
One key ingredient essential to success is management, knowing that a common set of tasks must be accomplished. A manager should be a leader who can motivate, direct, coach, support, delegate, and communicate. It has been a great experience being out here in the field. I'll see you back in the newsroom shortly. For a manager to ensure that technology is being implemented successfully, he or she must evaluate how the technology will improve the productivity of teaching and learning. Tiffany Waller is going to explain the importance of using multiple types of evaluation.
Thank you, Robin. As you said, it is very important to evaluate how the technology will improve the productivity of the teaching and learning. We want to make sure that our students are getting the best instruction possible, and this process helps us to ensure the technology will be effective. Evaluation domain is an important part of the instructional technology process because we want to make sure that the instruction our students are getting is effective. Otherwise, we're not only wasting our time, but theirs as well. By going through this process, it helps ensure that the instruction is going to be effective before getting to a large group of students. This just in, we have gained access to a top secret video containing information about the evaluation domain. Let's watch!
I use technology a lot. Probably every day. We definitely use technology every day. I still have a lot to learn as far as doing more learning with technology, but we do use them every day. I love technology with the kids. The kids love it, and I'm amazed at how much they know about technology. One thing that always makes you worried is, will it work? Sometimes our internet is down. So if the internet is not working real well, then your whole lesson is messed up. One time the principal came in to do an observation for me, and she had also encouraged me to use more technology because I was one that didn't use as much as some of the younger teachers. So I had this great lesson planned, and it had technology in it, and then it didn't work. So, and I just worried about that. But you know, I had to do plan B and had to be flexible, and I was still able to make it work. But I was really sad because I was excited that I had taken that opportunity to use technology. I think the struggle is, and that goes back to your last question, is finding the time as a teacher to look for these different things, these tools to use in the classroom, because you have to sit down and get on the internet and really look around for the different things that you want to use for your lesson. But we do a lot of sharing of different websites and things. We also have sixth graders that will come down and work with the third graders and teach them how to do things like kid block and things like that. I usually have about 4 or 5 students who are really strong in technology, and they love to be leaders and go ahead and, you know, walk around and help the other kids. So it's really neat to have so many leaders help the students, and a lot of times I don't have to. We do a lot of online testing. For like our math tests are now online, which is fantastic because it grades it for you. Yeah. So the grading is done. They do a pie chart for you. You have some great data to give to the parents at conferences. So, you know, I think it's really pretty effective. Our new math curriculum is awesome. We're working with Pearson, and the online tests are great. There's also quizzes each day, and the quizzes are great too because you teach the lesson, and it's all online. And there's a video that goes along with it, a video component, and then the kids get to take a quiz, right? There's only 5 questions, but they do it right there. And so you get immediate feedback on whether or not the students understood what you just taught. And then you can pull small groups. So the students who understood it can go on with the lesson, and then the students that didn't, just pull them back and work with them. And then it's neat too because we had one student, he wasn't in my class, but he'd been sick for a couple of days, and all on his own, he got on the math website, and he knew what lessons they were on, and he went and watched the videos and did the quizzes, and you can even get the book online. So he did the assignment and wasn't even told to do that. So for a student to be that proactive to go at home on the computer and get his math done was really pretty cool. You know, you just kind of look through and say this worked, this didn't, and then take out the stuff that didn't work. But a lot of times when we get together for our collaboration groups, I'll talk to my teammates and find out how they did it. Or, you know, we come together and talk about and troubleshoot, you know, what can we do differently to make this work. So a lot of times we can do that with our teammates.
Will help make sure that the use of your technology is productive and effective in your future classrooms. Back to you, Robin.
In this video, we have analyzed the importance of every domain in instructional technology and how they are interrelated. We hope that this video has given you some insight into the field and will be beneficial to you in some way. We'd like to offer a special thanks to everyone who contributed to this video. Tune in next week, where we will be exploring digital storytelling through iMovie. My name is Robin Bredvik. Good night.